Good day, everyone. This is the Zigman Jams on Anchor by Spotify, where you can find us on Spreaker, Amazon, Apple Music, Podbean, and many other host sites. We are fastly approaching the end of 2022 as we posture ourselves to enter into 2023. What did you do different this year that will make the difference in going into 2023? Did you get some things done that matters, that you are making your contribution and making a difference? Okay, so today we want to talk about something that is not often probably mentioned, and basically this is around the trajectory of your life, and to know how you are aligned with the universe, and knowing, not guessing, knowing that you're aligned with the universe, because there are identifiers that will actually let you know, that you can point to. And so today we're going to be talking about numbers and how numbers actually matter, and how it is numbers that balances our ecosystem and our universe and all the things that are actually going on today. Yeah, things that are going around us every day, and how you can actually see the difference and to know how these things are actually making a difference in your life. Okay, so now let's jump in. We want to, I'll give some personal testimonies. I'll give a personal, as to what's actually happening in my life and how you can actually look at things, because there are people who go around every day and they really don't have a clue. And it's not even more about faulting them or criticizing or making a judgment. They just don't know. They just don't know. So you don't look down on them or make them feel bad because they don't know. Because they need to be taught, like all of us do. That's how we learn. We learn by reading. We learn by doing research. We learn by listening. When people are saying things that matter, we listen and we digest that, and we find out how that can apply to our lives, and how we take that internally, and we manifest things from it. Because when we understand and overstand and understand how all of those components work, just like what I just said, when I say we understand, what is understand? Understand is when you are taking something in eternally, and you're processing it. And overstand is the same thing, but it's what you're actually doing is you're looking at that thing from a view of, okay, this is out of me. Let me look at what this thing is doing. How is it affecting myself and the things around it? And then when we understand something, we understand that it's an under. Okay, you understanding something is being really under it. So you're not really understanding it, but because you're under it. Because like when we use the term understand, you understand? And when people say, yeah, I understand, and actually it's like a trap word. You understand? So in other words, they're telling you you're under what I'm saying to you, so you'll never eternalize what I'm saying to you because you're under it. And I can continue to manipulate you. But really, it's really what it's saying for us. We overstand what you're saying because I'm looking over that what you're saying to me. I'm not looking under it, But you can look under it as well, but not be under it, if you know what I mean. If that makes any sense. So let me give you uh, um I was listening to this young man, and I'll give you something he said, and I know where he's coming from. He was saying, yeah, he was saying, okay, I need to hold on. I need to get a little bit more mellow because I do like rap, but then sometimes it could be overbearing. You know what I mean? So let's. And by the way, we're listening to non-copywritten music on this site. I always want to stress that. We're not infringing upon anybody's rights. Okay, so this is a little bit more mellower. A lot more. So anyways, what I was listening to this young man, and he was saying, he said, this is for all the people who are alone. And he went on to start, elucidating why he's alone. I'm alone because, he said, for those of you, now listen to this. Listen to what I'm saying. He said, I'm alone. And you can always tell by what comes out of people's mouths how they're feeling. Because he said, you ever been hurt? He said, you're around people and people done you wrong and this and that. And so I love being alone. I love being alone because, I can get things done and I could do this for me and I could do that for me because, I was, when I was around people, this happened and that happened. And so really, I really like being alone. And for all of those that are alone, don't feel bad because you're alone because, things are happening for you and this, that, and the other, and you can get a lot of things done being alone. And I understood what he was saying. And he went on to say, because I was once homeless, and I was living out of my car, and I was going to the gym. And brother, if you ever listen to this, this is for you. And this is not to disparage you or to cast any, what do I want to call it? I don't want to disparage you. That's not what this is for. But anyway, it'll come to me. But he went on to say that because when I'm around people and I, people make me upset and, if somebody says something, when I'm trying to take care of this, he said, because I'm real selfish. He said, I'm real selfish and I really need to, and if I'm by myself, I don't have to deal with that because if somebody say something that ain't right, I'll get angry and I'll pop off and so really what he was saying is he really doesn't want to be alone. I read through all that because at some point nobody wants to be alone. Come on, let's be for real. At some point you may not mind being by yourself and having me time and getting things done and doing things done. But everybody wants a good friend. Everybody wants, friends that are for real and friends that they can coalesce with, friends that they can build relationships with, someone they know that has their back and they can have fun with and enjoy things as far as, traveling together, hosting events together and doing things that matter. So I was able to read through what he was saying, and what I surmised, what he was saying was, he's angry. He has bitterness, and so he needs to let that go. And this is going to tie into the topic of what we're going to be talking about. He needs to let that go. He's angry. And so he was talking out of both sides of his mouth. He said, because, when the universe, when you're by yourself, you can, you're more connected to the creator And I said, yeah, you are. If you are vibrating on a high frequency, and if your vibration is in tune and aligned with the universe, yeah, all of these great things will happen for you. But if you're carrying bitterness and anger, you fooling yourself. It's not happening. And I detected this in this young man because I understand he's been hurt. I've been up that road. I've been homeless too. I know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? But you have to find level ground where you begin to tie in yourself to the universe, because all the elements in the universe are in you. And when you begin to understand this, you begin to merge with the universe and all its beauty and all the things that are within the universe to create a oneness. And once you begin to create that oneness with the universe, because that you know that all the elements that are within the universe are in you. And that's why I say, I'll give you an example. Look at your hand and then look at a tree. In your hand is the universal nerve connectors to the universe. And you look at the tree, and the tree is the same way. Now your hand, look at your hand. Your hand has branches on it. The lines in your hand are like branches. They're nerve centers. Same with the tree. The tree has nerve centers which reach down into the soil. And when those nerve centers reach down in the soil, being that they're alive, what they do is they begin to search out, those nerve centers search out for the nutrients that are in the ground, and they begin to take hold and grab a hold. Those roots begin to grab a hold to those nutrients in the ground. And what they do is they lock into the soil. They lock into the nutrients in the soil, and they create what you would call a grid. They would create a grid in the ground, and they hold on to that so those nutrients can emanate through the branches. And what happens is when the sun and the water begins to fall, it waters and it begins to nourish those nutrients. And as a result, what do you have? You have newer branches that begin to reach out through the universe, through the ground, coming up in that tree, through the trunk, and it begins to produce what? It begins to produce leaves. It begins to produce flowers. It begins to produce everything that it needs to produce for life. Why? Because all the elements that are in that tree are in the universe. And it's the same with us. The same nutrients that are within us are in the universe. And so, by that, when you understand, and you understand, overstand, the things that are working in the universe are working in you. And as you begin to merge with those things in the universe, you begin to become more and more like the universe which you are. Okay, and I want to do something too. Let me read this to you. Numbers are used in scripture not merely as in nature with supernatural design. And I want you to hear this, with supernatural design. Okay, but with spiritual significance, which may be summarized as follows. The whole subject may be studied, and it talks about Dr. Billigen worked on numbers in the scriptures. Okay, then it says denote unity. One denotes unity and commencement. My birthday is on the 1st. And the other day I began to look up something. Doing studies. I begin to look up what one means. Because your birthday, not only, because a lot of people follow astrology. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong at all. But your birthday, the hour you were born, the day you were born, the month that you were born have great significance in your trajectory in the universe and in life. Don't take it for granted. It all means something. The Creator knows exactly what He's doing. I was born on 1, the 9th month, 1, the 9th month, and on the 1st day. I ain't gonna tell you the year. But the ninth month, the first day. So one is very significant. It says unity and commencement. The first occurrences of words or utterances denote their essential significance in interpretation. Words that occur only once in the originals are emphatic and important. First day, light. The first occurrences of all important words and expressions are noted in the margin. 2. Denotes difference. If two different persons agree in testimony, it is conclusive. Otherwise, 2 implies opposition, enmity, and division, as was the work of the second day. Compare the use of the word double, applied to heart, tongue, mind, and so on. Okay? See, because, again, in the universe, all numbers are prime numbers. Okay? And we'll get to that. But all numbers are prime numbers. But then you always have a remainder number, okay? And usually that remainder number, a lot of times, is 1, because you'll always come back to it, okay? So when you look at the universe and you see how the universe is set up, you'll take specific numbers like 3, 6, 9, okay? 3, 6, 9. Those are prime numbers that establish the universe. And I'll give you an example. And you probably haven't thought about this. Most stairwells have 9 steps. Count stairwells when you're going up them. Most stairwells will either have 9, 6, and so when you will do 9, 6, and maybe 12. But most stairwells will have, when you're walking up the stairs, you'll count them. Each step, 1, 2, and most of them will have 9 steps. And then some of them have 6, some of them have 12. So all of these numbers are significant. They're not just there for nothing. They mean something. So this is the balancing in how the universe actually works. Okay, so 3 denotes completeness, as 3 lines complete a plane figure. Hence, 3 is significant of divine perfection and completeness. The third day, and a lot of you guys are familiar with that, because they talk about that. I'm not a church person, but they talk about that in the church, about the resurrection, which is on the third day. Third day completes the fundamentals of creation work. The 4th, 5th, and 6th days are the counterparts and repetition of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and correspond respectively. Okay, and then of course you can look at that in Genesis 1, 3. The number 3 includes resurrection also, for on the third day the earth rose up out of the deep and the fruit rose up out of the earth. See, but I like to liken that. I'll go back to Kemetic theology when the Kemites, because the first Trinities came out of Kemet. Okay, so, when you look at Christianity, and this is not to knock anyone, but the Trinity was borrowed from Kemet, and all the other religions borrowed from Kemet in regards to setting up their doctrines and dogmas, and you can call it, whether you call it discipline or whether you call it manipulation, and it's been called a lot of things by people. And of course, we know, a lot of us who are in tune, we know that religion was used more for control and manipulation. But you have to understand where its origin is. And its origin is in Kemet, because all of these doctrines came out of Kemet, which most people would try to, they don't want to admit it, or they have a problem admitting it because, of course, it comes out of a dark land, and our four ancestors were the first to do high sciences, which everyone came to study and to learn. And so we have to look at that. We have to look at his origin and how best to get this understanding, overstanding, and knowledge, to look at the source rather than anything else. You have to look at the source. You have to look at where it actually originated from and where it comes from to get the total understanding of its of its universal completeness. Okay. So again, it was talked about the third of being completion. The fourth denotes creative works. It also has references to the material creation as pertaining to the earth and things under the sun and things terrestrial. 5 denotes grace. It is 4 plus 1. It is God's adding his gifts and blessings to the works of his hands. The Hebrew word is haaretz. The earth by gematria, i.e. the addition of the numerical value of the letters together, is a multiple of 4, while this is Hashem. That's a Hebrew word for heaven. Is a multiple of 5. Gematria of Charis, I believe that is. Yeah. The Greek for the grace. Okay, it also is multiplier of 5. It is the leading factor in the tabernacle measurements. Okay, now this is a really important number. And I noticed this the other day. And like I said, all the numbers are important. But 6 denotes the human number. The human number of man is 6. And on the 6th day, this first occurrence of the number makes it, in all multiples of it, the hallmark of all connected with man. He works 6 days. The hours of his day are a multiple of 6. Attila usurped the throne of Judah 6 years. The great men who have stood out in defiance of God, Goliath and Nebuchadnezzar and Antichrist, are all emphatically marked by this number. But the number in itself, see, because a lot of people, they get scared of that number 6. Because when people say 666, and people get all terrified and whatnot. But it's really not a bad number. It's for you to understand what it means and what it denotes and how it works. So we're gonna so let's do this. We have a few minutes left, and like I said, we're gonna follow this up with the prime number. Okay, so what is the prime number? And like I was telling you about prime numbers, and I'll give you an example of some prime numbers, and maybe you can correlate this to your life, and you can see how things work for you. And as I was saying earlier, how you can find out what trajectory you're on in your life to know that you're on the right path by using numbers. Like I said, you can look at your birthday. Look at the day you were born, the hour you were born. Okay, you can look at what the season was when you were born, and what was happening during that season. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's critical. And a lot of times, people want to know in their life what's going on with my life. You can find it out. There's nothing hidden. You can find out just how your life and the trajectory of your life is going. But again, there are things that you have to do as well. Okay, one of the things that I said before, earlier, in another podcast was, to order to merge with the universe, and for everything to line up, you have to be mentally aligned. You have to be emotionally aligned. You have to be physically alive, meaning your health. Everything has to be in order. You can't get out of the universe if your life is discombobulated in areas and where you might be doing one thing, but you're not doing it. You have to have them all in place. Your mind has to be aligned. Your emotion has to be aligned. Your gratefulness has to be aligned. Your health has to be aligned, meaning you have to eat right. What you put in your body. All these things matter because even in your book, the Bible, it tells you about your temple. It mentions about your temple all the time. So if you're eating wrong, you're doing a disservice to the Creator, not only to yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice to the Creator because what you're putting in your creation is not what lines up with the universe. Look at the universe. What does the universe produce? It produces vegetation. All of these meats and all this stuff that we ingest every day is not good for us. It's not good for us. So we're going to talk about a podcast with that as well, where I found out where I started to look into all the fish that was coming into the U.S. through Norway, and they're doing a lot of fish farming now, and how this stuff is affecting people unbeknownst to them, just the chemicals that are being used, because now there's so much deforestation going on because they need more pastures of land, and they're deforestationing the ecosystem through cutting down too many damn trees, so that they can have more cattle grazing, and then they got all of these planes flying over, dropping all these pesticides in these areas because of the ecosystem. They're not allowing nature to be nature because you're going to have pests and they're supposed to be here, but they want to kill them, and all this stuff is getting in the grass where the cows and all these are eating this stuff. And so when you go to the supermarket to buy meat and steak and all this stuff that you think you're getting good food, you're eating poison. But that's another podcast we're going to get to. But I wanted to say this real quick. List of prime numbers, small. Okay, 2 prime numbers. Listen to this: 2, 3, 5. Now look how these numbers skip: 2, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 13, which some people think is a bad number, 19, 23, 29, 31, 37, 41, 43, 47, 53, 59, and it goes on into infinity. 61, 67, 71, 73, 79, 83, 89, 97, 101, 103, 107, 109, 113, 127, 131, 137, 139, 149, 151, 157, 163, 167, 173, 179. And like I said, it goes on to infinity. And I did a podcast about a year ago about the coronavirus, and I started to run off numbers in infinity and how things work and how that the universe is balanced on numbers and the frequencies that are within the universe and how that they affect us and how we don't know in terms of all the stuff that we do, even the music we listen to and the frequency that the music is on usually is harmful frequencies, and we be taking it in and we be jumping up and down, and we don't know how that's affecting us. And you think it sounds good to me, so I'm getting a gyration out of it, and you're being affected spiritually and psychologically, but really, do you feel better after it's all said and done? So anyways, we're going to be going to the next podcast. We're going to continue on, but I wanted to say this, and I wanted us to be understanding of what's going on around us in everyday life and how it's affecting us. And and how you see me change the tone of that music really fast earlier, because I don't usually listen to music like that. Because when I sleep at night, I'm on a frequency of 432. I know that's an earth tone, and all these matter. All these things matter. Trust me, they do matter. I don't even watch movies anymore, for the most part, with blood and guts. I don't do that because it affects you. You be having all these crazy dreams and you be wondering why. I don't want. I'll watch Christmas shows or something happy, or comedy, and it has to be clean comedy. You understand what I'm saying? So it's and to a lot of people this might sound corny, but getting back to this young man earlier, why it was affecting him so much is because those things are not aligned mentally, emotionally, consciously, spiritually. All this has to be aligned for you to actually pull from the universe and to begin to reveal and manifest things in your universe, within your life. Okay, so stay with us. We'll be right back, and we'll be coming back to follow up. All right.